بهار آغاز شادابی.
بینندای عزیز تلویزیون بهار السلام علیکم. من نعیم آرزو هستم. بازم روی پرده تلویزیون آمدیم بعد از بسیار یک مدت‌های طولانی. دیگه می‌خواستیم که امروز بیایم در تلویزیون جبارخیل صاحب اینجا بشینیم و برای شما یک جوان بسیار موفق که علاقه گرفتن که در قسمت شورای شهر اوشنساید کالیفرنیا خود کاندید کنن برایشان معرفی شوین. اسمش هست عمر جان یا فراجان هاشمی. عمر جان سلام.
سلام نعیم جان و سلام برای دوستای عزیز. For the sake of this show, because I want the youth to be involved, I'm going to speak Farsi, and then Naeem John, you can speak, I'm going to speak English, and Naeem John can speak Farsi. That way, we get everyone involved.
No problem. دوستان عزیز، چون که فراجان اینجا تولد شده و بزرگ شده، برایش آسان‌تر است که با لسان انگلیسی صحبت کنه. منتها نام خدا فارسی هم مکمل یاد داره و ما امتحانش هم گرفتیم. خب فراجان، ما قسم گفتم که خودت برای مقام یا چوکی شورای شهر خود کاندید کردی، میخوای بخیر برای سال 2024 رن کنی و موفقیت هم برتن میخوایم. First of all, maybe give us a little background about yourself so people get to know who Omar Hashimi is.
Sure. So obviously, like a lot of Afghans, my family came here in the late 80s as refugees, grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we moved to San Diego roughly 23 years ago.
Wow.
Went to college, went to grad school, and I have a long career in real estate, over 15 years, and I'm also a commissioned officer in the U.S. Army Reserve. And so it's about time. I've always wanted to serve, and I thought this was a perfect time to serve. So that's why I'm running in 2024.
عمر جان، چطور وقت پیدا میکنی که یکم مصروف هم هستی؟ وقت میفهم گمره ما در ریل استیت هم کار میکنی، ماشاءالله رفتی در آرمی هم سرو کردی. How do you find the time to do all this?
The schedule's tight, but you got to find time. I was talking to you earlier before the show, and I said one of the most important things is local politics. I know on a national level we have very little say, and a lot of the things we do can't reach that level, but local politics, you can definitely make an influence, and this is where it starts, and from here you can build.
آفرین. راستی که ما یک نفر دیگه با یادم مشکان جان. I think she ran for city of La Mesa. Did she run for council? If you recall,
yeah, she ran for city council.
And you helped her out, I know, with the campaign.
We helped her a little with the campaign, but she had a really good campaign. Unfortunately, she was competing against a couple very well-qualified candidates, and she didn't win that race, but it was a well-fought race.
She put a lot of hard work. I mean, I commend her for her. It's not easy. I see how time-consuming it is.
Right.
We do real estate, and just when you get a listing, for example, the advertising, all the time that goes into like inputting that listing, and then basically the listing goes live. Imagine how much you guys have to do, where like you have to go from like, for example, Sunday we went to the park, right?
Right.
For you to do an introduction for your campaign,
my meet and greet,
and your meet and greet, and I'm sure we'll see some pictures of it soon.
Yeah.
You have to get like T-shirts printed. You had to like make sure there's food for people, like drinks.
There's a lot of there's a lot of work so with campaigning, there's a lot of work that goes into campaigning, and you're never welcome to the club. So politicians, it's a very well-known, very tight-knit group of people. Yes. And unless you're on the inside, they're not as welcoming as they should be. So it's very tough to enter this arena and make a name for yourself and get the support of either the Democratic or Republican party, which are the two major parties in this country. So you kind of have to fight your way through, and you have to prove yourself that, hey, I'm a viable candidate. Here's my campaign. This is what I stand for. And I'm running for, in my case, city council. And if you guys want to back me, feel free. And if you don't, I'm still going to run this race and prove to you that I'm a viable candidate and I have what it takes to be on that city council.
From what I hear from you, it's all about persistence.
Right.
And I know for a fact, because I do work with you, and you're very successful as an investor, as a realtor, and lending and all that. But why running for this office?
So again, like I said earlier, there's in Oceanside specifically, which is my city here, and Oceanside is the third biggest city in San Diego, California. and we have very pressing issues right now. You know very well in the field of real estate the problems we have with the housing situation right now. Many people can't afford to purchase their first time home. We're talking people in their 20s and their 30s, people that have been working for over a decade now, graduated from college 10 years ago, and they're still renting or they're living with family and things like that. So one of my top priorities, actually my number one priority, is housing and homelessness. I want to get our generation to be able to get into a home on their own.
Excellent.
A lot of the people that I grew up with who are now in their early 30s, mid 30s, and late 30s, they're having to move away from California because they can't afford it here anymore. And that's due to two problems. Number one, wages are stagnant. And number two, we don't have enough supply. So when there's not enough supply, automatically demand drives prices up. And so when demand drives prices up, it drives people out of the state. And that's unfortunate because, you know, you expect your kids to grow up, go to college and come back and be able to live somewhere close to where your family's at. And you're not seeing that right now. Either they're living inside of their parents' home with them, or they're leaving the state or going to a city far away. And it's separating families. And I'm trying to reverse that.
Well, case in point right now, my kids, they go to elementary and middle school right now. And every time I hear Bachakim like, Daddy, إذا فيكم coach ميكنا. And I'm like, what do you mean شرا كوچا ميرا? Like, oh, بخاطر كده they يجي خوانا ندارن. They can't afford a house, so they have to. A lot of people moving to Texas, they're moving to Florida, because if you haven't bought a home here by now, it's really hard. And then I guess my question to you is, because on the second part of the show, we'll talk about the influx of refugees that just came over, right? But for the people who've been living here, I mean, it's really tough to be able to afford a home. So I like to hear, like, what kind of ideas do you have? Like, I know, like, when you look in the big scheme of things, you can't control all of California. You can't control downtown San Diego. Maybe they could benchmark you. But what are some of your plans for, like, let's say the city of Oceanside? I know it's a very coastal military town. Do you have some thoughts in mind that, hey, you know, maybe I could do this? I know you mentioned during your meet and greet, maybe ADUs or something, you know, the accessory dwelling units. So tell us what your plans are maybe.
So we want to do a couple of things. Number one, of course, is expand on housing development. So we want to develop housing, but we want to do it for all levels of income. And so when you want to tackle housing for all levels of income, you can't just build $1 million homes, because that's only going to help one group of people. You also have to develop the $600,000-$700,000 homes, and then you have to develop the $300,000-$400,000 homes. And these are all going to be very different size homes for very different family types. So when we're talking low income and very low income housing, we want to build smaller units. We want to build houses. I don't know if you heard of tiny homes.
Oh, absolutely.
But homes that are 800 to 1,000 square feet. It's very minimalistic, and it gets the job done. It puts a roof over people's heads, and they can stay local. They can stay coastal. They can stay in Oceanside. And not only does that address the low income and lower income housing issue, but that also helps us in the Department of Homelessness. California is home to the biggest homeless population in the United States. There's over 170,000 homeless people in California. In Oceanside, my city, homelessness has raised by 34% over the last 3 years alone. And so it's gradually rising. And unless we step up and start taking the initiative to develop these homes for these people, it's just going to make it worse. And a lot of people, speaking of homelessness, they say the cause of homelessness is people that are abusing drugs or people that have psychological problems. But if you look at research conducted from the University of California, San Francisco, the number one cause of homelessness is affordability.
Okay. Omar, I think we got a call. Let's take a call. See, phones are on. You guys can call and ask us questions. Assalamu alaikum. بفرمایید.
سلام میکنم. خوبی؟ صحت شما خوبه ان شاء الله؟
زنده باشین. با خیالم که شما عیسی جان هستین. خوش آمدید عیسی جان با پروگرام زنده بفرمایید.
تشکر. زنده باشین. ما می‌بینم که امروز برای فراد جان به خاطر کمپاین انتخاباتیش صحبت فقط که میگفتم که فراد جان نامصدا یک انسان هوشیار فهمیده و ما امریکا ضرورت داره به سیاستمدارای جوان و تازه فکر که یک تغییرات کلی در اساس از این مملکت بیاید.
حتما
دیگه فراجان خودش مشکلات زندگی را زیاد دیده در طول عمر خود، از احوال مردم با خبر است و جای افتخار است که یک افغان خود ما بخیر امور کار را به دست بگیره و انتخاب میشه. باید سپورتش کنیم. اما افغانای ما چرا انتخاب جوانا سنگ زبان ما رو میفهمند و کلتور ما رو بفهمند و در این مملکت کلام شده باشند، این یک پوینت بسیار مثبت است.
تشکر.
اما اگه کمکش کنن جوانای مثل عمر جان هاشمی را، دیگه من فراجان هم صدایش میکنم. ما فقط شما میخوایم.
تشکر.
امیدوارم که اما افغانای نازنین ما دست به دست هم بدن، دوستای امریکایی خودم بگوین انتخاب فراجان یک موفقیت است برای جامعه افغانی ما و افتخار برای ما باشه.
تشکر ایسا جان. تشکر. از تلفنتان تشکر یک جهان.
خواهش میکنم.
Thank you.
خداحافظ.
خداحافظ.
تشکر. عزیزا جان تشکری میکنیم. عزیزا میدونین که زنده بر ما روی خط بین زنگ بزنین 760 310 2956. خب فراجان بیا که کمک let's switch gears a little bit. Omar Jan, tell us a little bit more about campaigning. It's a long road because it's going to be November of 2024, right? So what do you have on the agenda between now and then?
So when it comes to campaigning, especially in U.S. elections, and I encourage, all the young people out there or the parents that are watching, I encourage you to tell your kids to get involved in local politics, whether it's volunteering, whether it's canvassing, or if they're old enough, they should run for something. School boards, city councils, there's so many local things that they can get involved in, housing committees, planning commissions, arts district. There's a lot of things that matter within your city. One thing I try to instill in Afghan Americans is, at this point you're here, this is your permanent home. So start caring about it like our parents did with Afghanistan, because you're going to be here, and the laws and rules that they implement here in these cities and states are the ones that you're going to be following for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So, but back to your question, running for public office in the US takes a lot of prep. You have to start early. So if you're running for office, let's say you want to run for office in 2026, you should probably start in the next 6 months. Right. Because it takes so much time and effort and setup and getting to know people and networking. For example, in my campaign, we started about, I want to say 14 months prior to the election.
Wow.
And that was still not enough time.
Wow.
And I feel like we're going like high speed right now, trying to catch up with so many things.
میبر شما جان یک زنگ دیگه ما بگیم دوستات سوالا داره. ولی سلام علیکم بفرمایید.
نعیم جان آرزو.
سلام سر.
عمر جان عزیز هاشمی.
سلام سر.
عرض سلام و احترامات به شما.
قربان شما.
در نخست تشریف آوری شما را بر یک تلویزیون بسیار مردمی و وزین خیر مقدم میگم و شما بسیار بجا آمدین. بنان رئیس تلویزیون یک شخص روشندل، بسیار جوان دوست و یک آدم مردمی است و این تلویزیون هم از یک جایگاه بسیار بالا برخوردار است. یعنی در مجموع تماما برنامه‌سازای عزیز ما در اینجا که هستند پشتیبان و حمایتگر جوان‌ها هستند. اول شخص خود من زیادتر خوش دارم که جوان‌ها در هر عرصه‌ای که خدمتگزار هستند صادق‌تر هستند، فکر جوان دارند، کارایشان موثرتر میباشد. و شما حتما برنامه‌های تلویزیون بارا خو همیشه میبینید.
بله.
خب اول ما جای داره که امی جناب استاد امان عسکری از آوان طفولیت ما گفتم میتونم از سالگی یا جوانی این شخصیت ارجمند استاد عسکری طرفدار جوانا و دو برنامه‌ساز دیگه که طول عمرشان در تقویه و رشد جوانا کار کردن، مثل زرغونه جان ولی و همچنان صمد کارمند. ما این گفت با خاطر میگم که شما بسیار درست بر یک تلویزیون بجا آمدین و ما شما را میخوایم تشویق بکنم همیشه و کارهای شما بسیار سازنده است. قراره که ما شنیدم حساب به دست بخور است. چیزی که این روز در زندگی مردم اهمیت داره، موضوع ریالیستی و یا کاندیدی که عمر جان خود انتخاب کردن در این عرصه و یا کارهای خودت نعیم جان آرزو که اکثرا عزیزای ما کسایی که میخواین خانه بگیرن و خرید کنن با شما مراجعه کنن که شما بسیار صادق هستین و مردم نیاز دارن در این. شما سر نیازمندی های مبرم کار میکنین، اردو جوان شایسته و همچنان من برای شما میگم که یک آمد است در تلویزیون نامآور مردمی بهار که این من مثال میتونم براتان امی اروگزای و بیجان اروگزای
بله
برنامهشان اگر شما ببینید
شما از کانادا
جوان بودن چی درسی موسیقی اجتماعی سیاست سالم و این آمدن شما این یک پروسه بسیار نیک است. من شما را خوش آمدید میگم و همیشه موفقیت های مزید شما را از لایزاد تمنا میکنم.
یک جان تشکر، مهربان هستید.
یاد زنده صحبت باقی
قربان شما.
با شما همیشه میخوایم تماس داشته باشیم و تشویق کننده شما باشیم.
قربان شما.
من پوپل کابلزار هستم.
یک جان تشکر. شما بسیار مقبول صحبت کردین. یک جهان مهربان. تشکر است شما.
خداحافظ ناصر.
قربان شما. آقای پروفسور تشکری میکنیم، مهربان هستین. از اینکه سخنای نیکتان شنیدیم. عمر جان وقتی که برنامه زنده میباشه
بله
because you have to be prepared.
Again, TV is very different.
Get ready because you're in politics, so there's going to be times. I was going to ask you actually.
Except on US TV, they don't take live calls like this. So it's something new.
It is something new, but
it's cool.
I think it's great because you know what? If somebody wants to talk to you and ask you a question, openly, you got to answer. So I think. No, I know like you're in public and all that. You have very good skills, public speaking, but you're gonna have to be even more ready now because when you're, let's say, competing against someone else.
Right.
And how do you get prepared for that? Speeches and all that.
I mean, we get trained. We study up on what to do, so we're very well prepared for those kind of situations.
What do you say we take a quick commercial? Sure. So then we come back. دوستان یک کامرشال یک وقفه بسیار کوتاه میگیریم برای یک دقیقه یا 2 دقیقه. باز بخیر پس به خدمت شما عزیزان پس میایم. درست است؟
Sounds good.
اوکی. هموطنان عزیز سلام. بیایید با هم یک جا شویم برای تماشا از یک تورنمنت هیجان انگیز و جشن فوتبال افغان‌ها در طول تعطیلات زمستانی یا کریسمس در شهر مقبول سان دیگو، کالیفرنیا.
Hello everyone, welcome to San Diego, California, home of the first annual Manzoor Cup. Join us this December 19th through the 23rd for the largest North American Afghan soccer tournament. Bring your family and friends for a bazaar, games, great food, and very high level Afghan soccer. See you there.
Assalamu alaikum, ګران وطنوالو. ښه راغلی د اولین منظور کپ په سان دیگو کې راشئ دغه ویسئ. حبیب جان برای ایونت برای اطفال و برای افغان‌ها چی در نظر گرفته شده؟
Well, we'll have games, delicious food, and activities, and a grand prize of $10,000 for first place.
سلام دوستان. تیم‌هایی که از کشورهای مختلف دنیا در این تورنمنت اشتراک دارد از قرار ذیل است.
سان فرانسیسکو،
Toronto, New York,
Atlanta,
Virginia, San Diego,
Sacramento,
Australia.
Manzoor Cup sponsored by Power Security.
بهار آغاز شادابی.
خب دوستان عزیز، امید است که پیاله که چایتان پیش رویتان باشه، نان نوش جان کرده باشه. ما هنوز در کار هستیم اینجا با عمر جان. بیاییم که از عمر جان بپرسیم که his top priorities، بس چی میگم، مسائل اولیت یا بسیار عمده یا مهم. Tell us about your top 3 priorities.
Okay. So we kind of touched on the first one with housing and homelessness. So I'll go on to the second one. My second priority is small businesses. Small businesses are the backbones of every city. They generate revenues that are here to stay. So the revenues stay local, which helps cities grow. They also provide jobs for locals. And overall, they bring culture to cities. So a lot of times you see these big shops like Albertsons and Targets and all those corporations, Starbucks, coffee, things like that. But they're chains that come into our cities and they take money and they take it out of the city and it goes overseas or to another state or something. It doesn't help the city itself. So one thing I want to do is prioritize small businesses and the local community. And we want to, when people spend money here that live here, we want to keep that money in the community. So I want to be a liaison between small businesses and the city, and whatever they need, whatever I can do to help secure them with new clientele and growth and things like that. That's what I'm here for. And then my third priority is public safety. Public safety is a big deal, especially in San Diego alone. In the last year and a half, we've had over 14,000 new Afghan American refugees. So to me, public safety is a big issue in Oceanside, and I hope to create some kind of a system where it expands beyond Oceanside into cities like San Diego itself, the suburbs around San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, and up into the Northern California Bay Area. Because a lot of what you see with this new influx of Afghan refugees is there's a cultural barrier. American police departments and things like that, they don't understand the cultural differences, and so they there's a phone call coming.
Just take a call quick. Assalamu alaikum, بفرمایید.
سلام علیکم.
چطور هستید؟
خوب هستین؟ جوارتون بخیر.
قربان شما. بفرمایید معرفی کنین برای عزیزا.
سلام خدمت شما و عمران هاشمی. من سوال دارم از شما افغان هستین یا مسلمان؟
هر دوش هستید. هر دوش هستید.
افغان هستین.
بالا هستید.
پخته
بالا هستید.
There's another call coming.
من خراسانی هستم.
بالا بفرمایید. سلام علیکم.
سلام علیکم سر.
سلام دوست عزیز. شما خوب هستید؟
خوب سوال دارین.
قربان شما.
این پروگرام بهار است. بله.
بالا تلویزیون بهار است. بفرمایید.
بله. بابا بخشید چند نفر نام ما آریان است.
آریان جان.
از پیش ما تلفن کرده بودم براتون. اگر یاد داشته باشه.
نه خیر، ما بار اول است اینجا آمدیم با اسم میمان. امروز یک برنامه اختصاصی دفتنی برای عمر جان خود کاندیدیت ساختن برای شورای شهر. از او خاطر شاید شما زنگ زده باشین منتها ما کدام آگاهی ندارم. بفرمایید چیز گفتنی داشتین؟
ولی ما ببخشید ما چندین بارها که یک دفعه نگاه تلفن کرده بودم با یک آوازخوانتان است با نام ولی جان میگن، ولی جان لطیف زاده با لس زندگی میکنم. ما چندین دفعه ریکوست کرده بودم. من بسیار خواننده عجیب و غریب با تلویزیونتان میبینم و ما میخوام یک سوال از شما کنم که ایشوی از چی هست؟ چرا شما برای ما وعده کرده بودن که میمونن خاندانشان و کچان مصاحبه میکنن و به تلفونشان از نخواسته بودن و هیچ اصلا من نمیفهم که چرا دلایلش چی هستن.
درست است. حتما عزیزای ما میشنون ولی جان لطیف زاده دوست خودمون است، بسیار مقبولا میخوانند. براستی که خودشان برادرایش همه دوست داریم. ان شاء الله تعالی بخیر که نزدیک شاید بیان تلویزیون از نزدیک بشینن یک برنامه مد زنده براتون یک چند آهنگ بخوانن. ما از رئیس تلویزیون خواهش میکنم با نمایندگی همه شما عزیزا
ولی زنده باشه. من خاطر دیگه ما که دوستاشون هست مثلا هستم و ما یک دیویدیشون حتی گفتم حالا ما چی نداریم و چطور نداریم و ما گفتم در یوتیوب ها کلی خواندنهایشان هست و یکی از غزلخوانهای تاپ افغانتان هست.
قربان شما. یک جان تشکر. ما برشان مسیجتان میرسانم انشاءالله. کدام اگر سوال دیگر نداشتین شما خداحافظی میکنیم. چون امروز درباره پروگرام کمک درباره چی میگن پالیتیکس اینا است. معذرت میخوایم.
خواننده دیگر بود در کلاکاردین میخواد و دیده میشن.
اوکی.
خب
تشکر.
خواننده جای خدا دارد اما ما راستی بسیار تعجب میکنم.
تشکر.
مثلا چطور ولی جان چطور نمیمانید، چطور اینا ولی جان چطور هم نکنن، چطور اینا نبر آمدن. حالا بسیار تعجب میکنم. هیچ تلویزیون افغان شما صدای ولی جان نمیماند.
خیر باشه. انشالله بخیر جور میشه. شما تشکری میگم از تلفنتون. شبتان بخیر. عمر جان میبخشی موضوع بیخی تغییر کرد. ما مسئول تلویزیون نیستیم. We're not in charge. We got our own little show but it's okay.
He didn't understand.
Hold on, we got another call. بالا سلام علیکم. تلویزیون بهار با طور زنده صحبت میکنم. بفرمایید.
جان سلام.
سلام علیکم سید. چطور دارین؟ بفرمایید سید.
جان نازنین سلام و از عمر جان جوان با استعداد و پالیتیشن نو ما بسیار بسیار خوشحالی میکنیم که در اینجا هستن و همچنان از آقای اکرم جان یک عالم تشکر که موقع رو برابر کردن. شما آمدیم در تلویزیون صحبت میکنیم.
معذرت میخوایم میشه که تلویزیون در پخش کنین در بک‌گراند آواز بسیار انعکاس میکنه.
بله بله.
تشکر. به اعلام بفرمایید. درست شد.
بله باش ببخشید
جان. بفرمایید.
اینجا نازنین اول پروگرام بسیار زیباست و
قربان.
راستی که جوانا در این مملکت آمدن از سن جوانی با استعداد هستن و افتخار میکنیم که اینا در عرصه سیاست امریکا قدم میگذارن. نگه متن بدر خیرا کنه تایر قدس که دراز است این مقصد من هم سفرم. اینا نه تنها که برای جامعه امریکا ما در جامعه کلان شدیم، در جامعه زندگی میکنیم، مردم بالای ما حق دارن، باید خدمتی صادقانه برای مملکت کنیم. ما همچنان در رابطه افغانستان که میبینید افغانستان در چه حالت است، اگه جوانا چی کنن، از امیالی پیریزی کنن، برنامه سازی کنن که افغانستان بیچاره که 50 سال مورد جنگ و دزدی و چپاول قرار گرفت، مملکت هم یک کمی بتانه نجات دهند، چون امریکا در تمام جهان در مسائل سیاسی شامل هستند. دیگه از دوستان اول خواهش میکنم وقتی زنگ بزن راجع به پروگرام صحبت کنن. آقای عزیز، آقای نازنین، چون موضوع پروگرام موضوع پالیتیشن امریکاست، راجع داخلی پروگرام صحبت کنن و ما عمر جان نازنین از قلب و جان برش تقدیم میگیم و این پروگرام بسیار زیبایی تا را تقویت میکنیم، چون جوانا در امریکا اینا با کمک همه ضرورت دارن. درست. با کمک نسل‌های جوان، با کمک نسل‌هایی که زنور در مملکت آمدن، از سالها زحمت کشتن، پیریزی کردن. ما در مملکت آمدیم سالها ولی کار کردیم، زحمت کشیدیم، تکس دادیم، با مردم خدمت کردیم. امریکا، جامعه امریکا بالای ما حق داره، جامعه افغانای ما اول حق داره که اینا در مملکت بیچاره محروم هستن. ما یک طبقه بسیار محدود هستیم. به هر حال وقتا نمیگم، عمر جان آرزوهای همیشگی برش میخوام و شما جوانا بکبونی همه چیز در یک جامعه هستیم، اقتصاد، پالیتیشن و همیشه در هر جا همونطور با توکل خدا و صادقانه رفتار کنیم. من انسانی که همیشه صادقانه بر جامعه اومده میخواد خدمت کنه و همیشه موفق می باشه. و وقتا نمیگیرم یا موفقیت مزید برای مرجان نازنین، برای خود من جان و تمام جامعه عزیز افغانی خود میخوام و از تمام افغانای عزیز در موضوعات خرد و بزرگ و یک دیر خود سپورت کنیم، چون ما در مملکت زندگی میکنیم، مملکت ماست. دیگه بازم براتون آرزوی موفقیت بیشتر میخوام.
قربان شما، یک تشکر از وقتتان. تشکر. خداحافظ. ببخشید شما جان. خب متاسفانه که هنوز برای بعض افغانای ما تلویزیون نهست. So people forget, you know, that
there's individual shows.
That's right. They go outside the box.
That's okay.
No problem. So you're talking about your top 3 priorities.
Top 3. So housing, small business development, and public safety. We want to just ensure that I was talking about public safety when we left off. I just want to make sure that our police officers and things like that are aware of our different communities, whether it's the Black community, whether it's the Hispanic community, or the African American
and the cultural differences.
It's very important that they understand these things and they're educated on these things. And as a city council member, I want to work with them on getting them familiar with, hey, there's this new influx of refugees. You know, they're not used to American cultures and values.
That's right.
They will be soon enough, but we got to get you guys trained on that. So any situations happen, things like that, we get it handled properly.
Oh, that's excellent, because I know, like, first-hand knowledge. عزیزای ما که از افغانستان نو آمدن بیچاره کلتورها بسیار فرق میکنن. You know, I know there's some classes or whatnot that are being taught just on simple things, you know, how to like deal with people in public, certain things that you should do, you should not do here, you know, in America. I'm so happy to hear that you have plans for that to help them out. And speaking of that, Omar Jan, most of the an influx of Afghan refugees. So yeah, when I'm over شهر الکهون آمده. شهر الکهون یک شهر است که اونجا زیادتر و دوستای عراقی ما اونجا زندگی میکردن و ما که میبینم بسیاریشون اونجا است. چی پلان داری خودت، چی کمک برشان میتونیم؟ بخاطر که من میفهمم که بسیار مشکل است اونجا برشان عمل. یک خانه که مثلا 2 اتاق است با 3,500 فکر میرن. اینا که آمدن فعلا کلام درآمد عاید ندارن. They don't have an income. So are there, I know you talk about tiny homes and all that.
Right.
Is there like, especially with you having a background in real estate, can we do something where like we could go after like a big piece of land where we could put like tiny homes where these people could live, and you know they don't leave from San Diego. Otherwise, I know once they get on their own feet, it's not easy because I get it. A lot of them work Uber, they're doing Amazon deliveries and all that. Minimum wage in California, especially San Diego, is not going to make you get by.
Right.
So what can you add to that? Is there anything we could do for Oceanside that would help them?
So, for Oceanside, yes, and even beyond Oceanside, there's a lot of things we can do. One thing about cities, they're always open to listening to new ideas. Right. But the hard part is putting that together.
Yes.
So my idea in the city of Oceanside is subsidized housing. We promised Afghan refugees who came in recent years a lot of things when they got to America. We promised them support, we promised them housing, we promised them stipends for the first couple of years. And a lot of those things have kind of just gone quietly and ignored. And now these new influx of refugees are trying to figure life out. So I want to remind the city of Oceanside, I want to remind the county of San Diego that, hey, we have an obligation to fulfill. These people, their families back home, put their lives on the line. Some of their family members have died. And we can't just bring them here and say, hey, good luck, you're on your own. We have to subsidize things like housing. We have to give them stipends. We have to be able to provide for them for at least 2 to 3 years until they're able to get up on their own feet and provide for themselves. So those things we're going to be looking into in further detail. But if you go on my website, omarforoceanside.com, you'll get an idea of my top 3 priorities. Excellent. And a plan of action for all 3.
Yeah, so basically what I'm getting from you is وقتی که یک پلان باشه، سیستم باشه، همه چیز پیش میره. So that's excellent. So let's say fast forward November 7th?
2024, November 5th, 2024.
November 5th. So November
it's on the same ticket as the general election.
Let's say November 6th, Omar won. Shura Shah, you become the city council, right? You serve for how many years?
It's a 4-year term.
4-year term, okay.
Right.
You finish the 4-year term. Is that the end of the road for you, or what's the plan?
So, we'll see. You can plan as much as you want, but you never know what the future holds. My plan is to go in city council and be as effective as I possibly can.
Okay.
But do I want to be there forever? No. I don't think it's healthy in a democracy to take positions like some of these politicians and stay in them forever.
That's it.
I think we need to constantly rotate our terms. So whether I'm in city council for 4 years or 8 years, I don't know, but I don't want to do more than 8 years. I want someone new in there with fresh ideas and things like that for the city. I want to go in and do what I want or what I can do with the help of the community and be a voice of the community, but I want to turn it over to someone else at a certain point and move on to other things. Maybe city, maybe a state assembly, maybe Senate, or maybe a U.S. Congress. We'll see.
Inshallah, and I know because, as I mentioned, you're a successful businessman from investments in real estate,
right.
But I know you have a lot of thirst and hunger for going to the next step to help out the bigger picture. Let's take a call, okay?
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum, buffarmain.
Hi there. I live in Virginia with my entire family, and I know that this race is in California. So obviously we can't vote, but we're very passionate about supporting Afghan Americans. And thank you so much for entering this arena. There isn't enough of us out there. We really don't have a voice in the United States like we should.
Absolutely.
Is there any way that people like me and my family can support your race in California, even though we can't vote for you? I mean, how do we donate? Just wanted to get that info.
Thank you for your question. I'm going to hang up the call and we'll answer your question.
Thank you very much for reaching out.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So that was a great question. She brought up a really good point. Afghan Americans, I'm guessing at this point, over 600,000 of us in the United States, maybe more, maybe 700,000. We don't have any representation in national level politics. We also don't have representation in local level politics.
Very true.
We only have one Afghan American in public office in the entire United States. And that's a California state senator. But beyond that, we don't have a single voice of representation. And that's very important. If you look at the Iranian American community, they're in the same struggle. They don't have a single voice.
I see.
And their population is greater than ours. And they've been here 2-3 decades longer than us.
Sure.
So And that's part of the reason why I'm running is I want to be a voice. I want to be a liaison to the Afghan American community. It's very important that we have a voice, because until we have one of our own in public office, the rest of the country is not going to understand our struggles. We have to go there and we have to bring it to them. And she asked, how can you help? One thing I noticed watching other races in my community, the Mexican community, they are very behind their candidates. They support their candidates 100%.
Absolutely.
The Black community, they get behind their candidates 1,000%. They support them. Jewish communities, all these communities, they get behind their people and they support. But Afghan Americans, it's something we have to work on. And I'm stepping up to the plate. I'm trying to be a voice for our community. But if I'm going to do that, I also need my community to step up and help me. One of the best ways you guys can help is simply reposting what we post on social media, on your pages, spreading the word. Even though this is a local race, it doesn't matter. I'm still going in representing the Afghan American community. That being said, one of the most crucial things to win elections is fundraising. I'm running as a Democrat in California. If the Democratic Party sees that I have enough funding in our campaign accounts by the end of this year, December 31st, 2023, they will step in and then start providing funding for our account, for our race. But that's very crucial. So if you go to omarforoceanside.com and just make any level of contribution, it's a big help. Whether it's $20, $50, $100, whatever you can, we need to raise money by the end of this year to show that, hey, we're a strong and viable campaign and that we're taking this campaign very seriously and we're going to move forward.
Omar John, since we're talking about voting and all that, همیشه ما میگیم کاش که یک چیز انتمی بود، کاش که حکومت تو میکرد. Unfortunately, I'll say it in English, a lot of us love to become a U.S. citizen and, have the citizenship, get the passport and all the benefits and all. But when it comes to voting, nobody wants to vote. Maybe a minute, number.
Very small percentage.
So tell us a little bit about the role of maybe getting to know who your representative is for your city or for your, how can you ping that person to help you with getting your message through to the higher level, and also talk to us about voting right now then as a whole, please.
Right. So you asked a good question. You asked how can we go through someone we know to then get to a higher level of office? So that's the thing about, if you have an Afghan American in office, even if I'm not in Virginia, even if I'm not in New York City or wherever Afghans are in America, I can make a phone call to someone that knows somebody and we can get things done for you. Whether that's a family member back home trying to come into the United States and you guys filled their paperwork 15 years ago and you're having issues with that, we can reach out to a congressman in your district and help you out with that. So that's one small thing. And it could be anything. If you have a small business in Los Angeles and you're struggling with it and you don't know how to get to your chamber in Los Angeles and things like that, you can reach out to me and we can help you with things like that. Even though we're here in Oceanside, I want to still be a liaison to Afghan Americans nationwide.
Beautiful. Hey, as they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Exactly.
And it's all about connections. So if we vote for Omar John Bakhair, he becomes the Shura Shahar, the city council, he's going to have some pull. Let's say we need something else in a different city. Obviously, Omar John, as افغانیت چی خواهش داری؟ چی کدام میتونیم برات؟ I get it. You got your website. What else can we do? Can we maybe get more involved when you have rallies and meet and greet? We need to see more people, right?
Yeah. So the Afghans that are local to San Diego, if you go on my website, omarforoceanside.com, it's on the screen. You can sign up to be a volunteer. You can sign up to Canvas. We have internship opportunities, and we also have paid internship opportunities as well. And there's a bunch of other things that you can help us out with the campaign, even if you're not local, like phone banking and things like that. We can do that nationwide. So if you're interested, please go on my website, fill out your information, and we will get you involved with this campaign.
بسیار خوب. خب عمر جان، یک جان تشکر، بسیار معلومات خوب برای همگی. خودتان معلوماتم پیش کردیم، ما میگن سوالاتم پرسیدیم، جوابای بسیار خوب گفتی و از عزیزای ما که تلفن کردن با ما تماس شدن، از یک جان تشکری میکنیم. دیگه بخیر پلان نیست که تا بخیر سال آینده چی گفتی که ما یک دفعه بیایم once a month, we talk about, how you're doing, how your progress is being made.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to do, I was talking to Naim John, is I want to come on this show at least once a month and discuss, Afghan politics, Afghan American politics, and anything we can do to help. You guys can call in, whatever your questions, concerns, suggestions, and we'll take them. And I just want to get the Afghan American community more involved. If you're not registered to vote, we want to show you how to vote, why it's important to vote, all those things. Because in America, it's the argument: voting is a right or is voting a privilege? I think it's both. And so I want to get the Afghan American community involved because we don't matter until we get involved and tell them we matter.
Omar, John, I'm going to put you on the spot. One last question. I know you have a love for Afghanistan, for politics. Imagine you want to do so much here for Oceanside. I'd like to hear from you because I know you're very knowledgeable. What are your thoughts? What can we do for Afghanistan to finally maybe get some peace there and so people could go back and live there? I know but I'd love to go back and have my kids grow up there. Anything you want to share?
That's a tough question. Afghanistan has, I don't have to say it, people know Afghanistan's been through it all. And that's, I don't have answers to that problem, but I know how Afghan Americans can succeed and do well here. And maybe those Afghan Americans can one day take those skills and what they take from here back to the homeland and do something with it there to better the country. But it's a long road ahead, and it's a complex situation, and we have to take that situation one day at a time.
We get together like brothers and sisters and do whatever we can do from here to help back home and put aside this whole issues of tribes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Some people say, I'm from Khorasan, I'm from Afghanistan, I'm from Khorasan. These things are meaningless. I think we should be all one people. Inshallah, we're going to succeed. Thank
you.
I congratulate you.
Thank you.
Like putting your foot forward. This is not easy. And it's a long road, as you mentioned.
Right.
I can't believe it. You're going to be campaigning for a year to two.
Right.
And we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much, Naim John. And thank you to our audience at home for tuning in. Thank you guys.
امرای عمر جان آشنا شدید دوستا و عزیزا ان شاء الله برام بخیر یک پروگرام خلاص براتون شروع میکنیم یک پروگرام ریل استیت و بزنس و ورزش اینا دیگه شب ما بخیر با امید دیدار شما عزیزا تشکر
خداحافظ
هموطنان عزیز سلام بیایید با هم یک جا شویم برای تماشا از یک تورنمنت هیجان انگیز و جشن فوتبال افغان‌ها در طول تعطیلات زمستانی یا کریسمس در شهر مقبول سان دیگو کالیفرنیا.
Hello everyone, welcome to San Diego, California, home of the first annual Manzoor Cup. Join us this December 19th through the 23rd for the largest North American Afghan soccer tournament. Bring your family and friends for a bazaar, games, great food, and very high level Afghan soccer. See you there.
السلام علیکم ګران وطنوالو ښه راغلی د اولین منظور کپ په سان دیگو کې راشئ دغه ویسئ
حبیب جان برای این ایونت برای اطفال و برای افغان‌ها چی در نظر گرفته شده؟
Well, we'll have games, delicious food and activities and a grand prize of $10,000 for first place.
سلام دوستان، تیم هایی که از کشورهای مختلف دنیا در این تورنمنت اشتراک دارد از قرار زیل است.
سان فرانسیسکو،
Toronto, New York,
Atlanta,
Virginia, San Diego,
Sacramento,
Australia.
Manzoor Cup sponsored by Power Security.